Nobody should envy Firaxis. Once a decade or so, the legendary strategy game developer is asked to reinvent Civilization, a video game series that has been absent of any tangible weak points for quite some time. Nearly every entry in the series has presented different flavors of that core recipe, but it's hard to say that one is substantially superior to the others. So, that's the burden that Civilization 7 carries with it. Here is a video game that is shaping up to be very good, while introducing a huge number of tweaks and reinterpretations that, in both small ways and big, provide a brand new way to play Civ. All it asks of its veteran players is to enter with an open mind. If you're brand new to the series, please know that the basic colors of Civilization 7 adhere to the formula. The franchise aims to tell the story of humanity one hex at a time. Players nurture a teensy village, armed with clubs and torchlight, into a globe-bestriding empire by balancing their cultural, scientific, diplomatic, and warfighting needs. Countless subsystems are woven into this pursuit, and when Civilization is at its best, players enter something of a psychedelic zen as they remix human history. Never has this been more true than in Civilization 7 and its marquee new feature, which we detailed at length in IGN's original preview last August. Rather than selecting one nation and charting a path to victory, players will wield control of a specific leader, who will switch to 3 distinct civilizations, divided into 3 ages: Antiquity, Exploration, and Modern, before a win can be secured. Some Civilization fans were understandably nervous about this pivot. It's a big change. One of the things people love most about Civilization is its ability to tell strange and funny stories, creating a timeline where, say, the dogmatically Catholic people of China build the Parthenon. Will that still be possible if we're abandoning our flag when the calendar tips over? But after experiencing the change myself, I can say with certainty that this new approach will be heaven for Civ heads that love getting under the hood. There are so many distinct civilizations to choose from, and in tandem with your chosen leader, smart players will be able to uncover some devastating wombo combos. For example, a highly expansionist Augustus Caesar might find a perfect home with the Mongols during the Exploration Age. It brings to mind the compositional choices one makes when assembling a League of Legends roster, but with the world at your feet. The same thing can be said about the way Firaxis has refreshed its diplomacy system, which again chips away at some thematic richness in service of gameplay. If you're a veteran of Civilization 6, you're likely familiar with how mercurial the other barons on the map could be, and the exorbitant fees they'd charge for simple strategic agreements like open borders. All of that has been stripped away. Diplomacy in Civilization 7, like everything else, has become a currency. You accrue and spend influence points in the same way you might have spent faith or gold in generations past. The accords available on the diplomacy screen all have immutable, non-negotiable costs. Want a research partnership? Or a denouncement? The price, printed in influence points, is on the menu. Some players might miss the roundabout negotiations of earlier games, but personally, I think this streamlining is long overdue. In fact, outside of the radical switch to a 3-act structure, much of Civilization 7's other big changes are remarkably subtle, and seem designed to iron out some of the murky micro-decisions that tend to gum up a campaign. Remember how in earlier Firaxis efforts, mustering an army required you to line up an unwieldy battalion that would inevitably become choke-pointed by its own mass? Now you can rally everyone on an army commander, and dictate specific orders, like a powerful combined assault, on a single target, which should hopefully make military action less of a grind. Those commanders can be leveled up, allowing players to tailor different ends of their fighting force. Much has been made about the elimination of worker units. In Civilization 7, your cities lavishly sprawl outwards, automatically upgrading tiles along the way. You know the downtime in the early game where you're mostly waiting around for your population to grow? The game supplies you with progression goals for your nation's economic, cultural, scientific, and military pursuits, unlocking bonuses at the end of the age, and making sure that you always have something to do. The goal, from what I can tell, is to ensure that even in the doldrums, Civilization 7 has the capacity to surprise its players. The best illustration of this might be the narrative hinge points threaded across the campaign, where your leader might encounter some flavor text and a branching pair of dialogue options where both are tied to a short-term boon. It is the slightest dusting of Crusader King-style role-playing in a series that has typically steered away from such morality. I can't wait to see what ethical quandaries the modern age holds. I played my Civilization 7 campaign into the Exploration Age, where the map begins to open up for startup empires. Civs could begin to trek across the ocean with wooden fleets, and I was pleased to see that just off my native shores, enticing archipelagos were ripe for the taking. It was interesting to see how quickly my priorities changed between the eras, and how incentivized I suddenly became to explore the open seas. It makes me wonder if the Antiquity, Exploration, and Modern Ages will function more like siloed gameplay experiences, and given how Civilization 7 allows players to boot up a run at the beginning of each of them, I imagine that's Firaxis' intent. But even after 10 hours, I was still scratching the surface of all Civilization 7 had to offer. For instance, on the leader selection screen, it appears that there's some sort of meta progression system built into the game's DNA, allowing players to slowly unlock perks for the characters they invest the most time in. That represents a huge shakeup to how we all play Civ. How will all of these pieces come together? The answers will be revealed in Modernity and beyond. For more on Civilization 7, don't miss our first in-depth preview, as well as the recent cinematic trailer. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.